UTRUST again on my stage.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. I mean, it's almost good evening, isn't it? It's almost that late in the day. I'm frankly aghast at seeing so many of you here. I'm fully aware that we are the people that stand between you and drinks. And so I'm very, very impressed that you're sat here instead of going and getting some alcohol into your system. So thank you very much for being here. We're going to talk about blockchain and cybersecurity today. Now, there's a lot of different ways that we could take this. We could talk about blockchain projects and ICOs and smart contracts and the fact that people are hacking them, people are scamming you, people are running away with the money, they're doing all sorts of crazy things. Or we could talk about blockchain in terms of whether it's the answer to cybersecurity, because there's an awful lot of things that blockchain can actually do for the cybersecurity world. What we're actually going to do today is try and cover both of those, and maybe a little bit of stuff in between as well. So we're going to talk about cybersecurity. I'm going to ask you to put your hands up if you have been involved in any way, shape, or form in cybersecurity. Yes, we have somebody there. Very good. If the answers from the experts aren't very good, we might call you up on stage and have you get involved as well. Just checking. So we will be asking questions. Look out for that. So we're going to bring up an amazing panel of experts for you. They're just getting mic'd up in the background. They'll be coming out very soon. I will have them introduce themselves because it's much, much better if they do that than me giving a stilted interview for you, where I just give you their little bio. That doesn't really tell you who they are or why they're interested in particular in blockchain and cybersecurity. So, how are we doing backstage? Do we have our wonderful experts? Can we get them out onto stage here and take a seat with me? Please give them a warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh
shit, no. Yes, whoops as well. Whoops are always good. Excellent. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you all here. And by all, I mean basically half the audience is on stage. It's fantastic. Thank you. So, look, I'm the kind of moderator that likes to let you introduce yourselves, but I want to ask you a question within that introduction. So just take a minute, each of you, and say who you are, who you work with, but more importantly, why are you particularly interested in blockchain and cybersecurity? Paul.
My name is Paul Puey. I'm CEO and co-founder of Edge. We do a security platform and a mobile wallet for cryptocurrency, and I'm specifically interested in security for crypto because I think it's one of the biggest barriers of adoption for the mass market, and trying to solve it and make it usable to the end user.
Excellent, thank you.
I'm Rodrigo, CEO of UTRUST, crypto-to-cash payment platform. And before that, I was the CNN analyst at corporate venture funds dedicated to cybersecurity. So all blockchain and cyber, part of my professional life.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, my name is Mikhail, and I'm Chief Technology Officer of Chronobank. And as far as we are running a bunch of products based on the blockchain, and we are going to a production now. So we are really interested in the security for sure, because like blockchain itself, it's all about security on the first place, I believe.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, my name is Alejandro de la Torre. I'm vice president of BTC.com. BTC.com is one of the biggest mining pools in Bitcoin. We are the biggest mining pool in Bitcoin. So cybersecurity in the blockchain actually is very important for us.
Hi, my name is Arianna Simpson. I have been kind of in the crypto space and particularly in the security space for about 5 years now. I was early at BitGo, which was kind of one of the leaders in multi-sig wallets and commercializing security solutions for enterprises. And now I run a crypto fund called Autonomous Partners, and I invest in a lot of infrastructure, which also includes security solutions of various kinds.
And last but not least.
Thanks. I'm Sebastian, professor for cryptography. I'm in that security space for 10, 15 years already, teaching students blockchain and how it works. And I'm also the co-founder of Weeve, which is a venture here in the Berlin blockchain ecosystem that tokenizes IoT data and makes it tradable through marketplaces similar like Amazon or eBay marketplaces.
Fantastic, thank you, and thank you all for being here. Look, we've got quite a lot of ground to cover, and even though it seems like we've got a lot of time, it'll go very, very quickly. So take your time with the answers, but also, you know, just be cognizant of our wonderful clock that's ticking down constantly in front of us. When it comes to the one side of cybersecurity and blockchain, you know, we've seen an awful lot of hacks. We've seen an awful lot of attacks. We've seen some really interesting things. I remember with Gibraltar network, for example, somebody set up a bunch of websites that looked exactly like Gibraltar's website with an Ethereum address, and they were basically scraping money from their ICO. They found that very quickly thanks to using some really interesting technology partners, and they were able to stop that bleed from happening. But it seems that every single time there's an ICO, there's an attempt to divert the funds to where they should not be going. How are we going to stop that? Are we going to stop that? You know, what are some of the things that people can put in place to make sure that when they're doing their ICO, they aren't attacked in these ways? Paul, maybe you could start.
So in that sense of security, it's not one that we had necessarily focused on. That seems to be the issue of phishing. So phishing can happen on multiple levels. It can happen at the level of what website are you visiting? Is it really the website? All the way down to what hardware are you using? Is it really the hardware wallet that I think I'm using? And so there are services such as Metacert that help solve part of that equation. And the other side of it is just knowing that what you're going to as an individual user is the trusted source. I don't know of what will be the grandfather actual final solution of this, and in an industry where we're building and dealing with money, anonymous, irreversible digital money, the due diligence that you have to make as someone investigating an ICO and someone deploying one is enormous. Now, to know that something is real, at least in the digital level, that's not hardware, probably having multiple sources that vet, is this the website? And check that the website is real. Having multiple entities from different domains checking the code on that website is one of the commonly used techniques in security. That I hope that different ICO projects with their websites deploy to know that if anything is modified or a DNS is modified, that they're instantly and quickly notified so that the users can be alerted.
Yeah,
tell me more.
I fully agree. Education and the players of the ecosystem have to educate the users, because the weakest link is always the people. So you need to have an effort it's something that we need to take care of as an active player in the ecosystem. Of course, the companies and all the ICOs and the startups have to do their homework. They have to hire the right people. They have to have their security policies in place and try to minimize as possible the cybersecurity risk. And for that, you need talent. And talent in the cybersecurity space is not easy to find, but with the right mixture of talent inside of the company and telling the people what can go wrong and how can they do that on the safest way, I believe that's a way, and everyone should act to that to be possible.
You know, education is a very important point, but is it on every blockchain project to educate their potential investors, or should we be, as an industry, doing a lot more to educate everybody as a consortium and as an industry as a whole?
Well, I actually wanted to mention one more thing about your first question, because maybe I add something about
sure.
The second one, because even with fake site or the fake ICO site, I mean, that you mentioned, that there's been a lot of activity like this when someone just put in the fake ICO site into the internet. A lot of fakes we saw with the Telegram ICO, for example, because Telegram never did any ICO at all, and there's been a lot of attempts to introduce some sites as Telegram ICO. So it's all about education to me. I mean that they're doing this fake site. It's even not about the blockchain, yeah. So it's all about phishing. There's a lot of phishing before blockchain, and for sure it will be a lot of phishing after that. And the only way how you're able to check the phishing site is all about your experience. I mean, you have to improve your knowledge about how you, and only because not anyone can help you to check if it's a real site or fake. You have to have enough knowledge about how it can be done. So, and it's all about the understanding and education. And the only way for the project to improve the security this way is to educate the users. And speaking about the blockchain and the activity like this, I mean the fake sites, it's also about everyone happy that blockchain is an anonymous thing. But speaking about this blockchain address, I mean fake address, you have to be able to check if it's a real project address or not. And this case, address became not anonymous. I mean, like, if you will publish some information that this address is connected to some company, this address is not anonymous address anymore. So this is another way of things that shall be done. It's like related to KYC procedures and so on.
Yeah, excellent points. What can you answer?
As an industry, we already have the tools there for any single or any company that wants to do some ICO. We have multi-signature technology, which I feel is very important for any type of ICO. If you're going to be investing in an ICO, it's always very important to understand how they take care of their security with the coins. So also another thing, multi-signature technology means that there's just multiple keys, and you need multiple keys in order for those coins to be transferred or sent. There's also a lot of work around cold and hot storage technology. You cannot. I've heard of some ICOs that have all the funds that they've raised on just one hot wallet and some USB key, which is really, really bad idea. You need to, this technology is already out there. BitGo has a very serious technology around this, for example. BTC.com also does too. Now, these technologies are what we should do. I mean, if you're going to be entering the ICO market, you need to do your own research as a company and look very, very strongly into the security features that you can implement on these coins. And you need to take it very seriously, because once you've raised X amount of Ethereum or Bitcoin, whatever it is, you are a target. The whole entire hacking community, or cracking community, is a target, right, looking straight at you basically, trying to find a way to steal that money. So don't take it lightly. And the technology is there. There's multi-signature, hot, cold storage features. There's just normal tech, like a good security on your website. These things need to be done and need to be. It's no game, it's no joke. We need to do it. We need to do it. But the technology is already there.
That's a cheery thought, isn't it? All the hackers coming after you.
That's true.
It's true, though.
So I would just add to Alejandro's point that I'm a big fan of multi-sig, obviously, and definitely advocate for using it. But I think one kind of related piece of cybersecurity that probably doesn't get enough attention is like actual bugs in smart contracts. So multi-sig actually was kind of the cause for hundreds of millions of dollars being not really lost, but at least frozen in, what was it, I think the parity wallets. So I think, unfortunately, like even in those cases, it's not 100% of a fix. So, to be honest, I think a lot of this is also just being figured out on the fly. And in many cases, actually, it's more dangerous to, start using something that's not fully baked. Even when somebody's not trying to hack you, you can end up, in a worse off position by messing things up yourself, effectively. So, I definitely agree, use multi-sig, use cold storage wherever possible. But I think, unfortunately, one thing that I'm noticing is that, the industry still really lacks certain tools. I see this a lot with institutional investors with whom I'm speaking for my fund, and they have a lot of concerns about, custody and what are going to be solutions, for that kind of thing. And in cases in which you can park your coins and not need to move them for a long time, we have pretty good solutions. Obviously, you can store things offline, but in instances in which you need access, you're actively trading, there's still a lot of kind of open questions about best practices.
I mean, talk about, just add on to that a little bit. Have you seen anything coming in terms of tools that people can use, maybe something you've had a preview of, that could answer those problems, or is there really nothing there for that right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the second half of this year, we're going to continue to see a lot of these, in particular, custodial solutions come online. For example, Coinbase announced theirs. My fund is one of their launch partners, and they have a few people who are kind of testing it out. BitGo obviously has a solution that people have been using for quite a long time. Ledger launched an institutional product. So they are coming online, but I think one of the big challenges is that a lot of them support a very limited number of assets. So you can, as a fund manager, be doing your homework and kind of taking all the best steps you can, but you sign up with a Coinbase, let's say, and they only support a couple of assets to start. Now, obviously, that's going to evolve over time, and they're constantly going to be adding things to the platform, but right now, it's still a pretty fragmented ecosystem.
Thank you. What can you add?
Okay. What can I add?
After hearing everything.
So we started, talking about ICOs and how we can improve trust in ICOs. And I think ICOs are dead. Because ICOs...
Based on my inbox, not true.
Wait. Now it comes. Wait for it. So ICOs are dead simply because ICO stands for some kind of process everybody can easily bootstrap and which is filled with too many scammers. So what we need is standardization. Standardization for legals, for taxes, and for consumer friendliness. And we need something which is like the ICO 2.0. And there is something coming up, and it's called a token generation event. So this is some kind of a new process, trying to, say, reinvent the wheel, but now under, a strict bootstrapping process, which gives consumers more transparency and more key performance indicators whether this is a good or a bad token sale. And there are, some leading people, for example, the guys from Consensus, that really, try to raise the bar in order to give investors, a vehicle in order to verify whether this is a good or this is just a scam ICO.
Paul, what do you want to say?
So I wanted to answer and give you guys a definitive, clear-cut potential solution to the original question posed, which was how do we prevent some of these ICO phishing attacks and the websites changed and addresses changed? And it's something that kind of churned through my head as other people are talking. Very simple. If you are deploying a website that's going to have a contract address that people will send money to, that website now is your valuable piece of info. Have 5 different friends on 5 different domains with different companies scanning your website every 5 seconds and verifying that that address is exactly the same as you expect it to. Have people pre-register with an email address, and if anything changes, send that out on Twitter, send that out on Facebook, send that out on Instagram, send it out to the email addresses of everyone that registered to participate in your ICO, and notify them right away. Number one, knowing that that is going to happen will prevent an attacker in the first place, because there's less reward from them even attacking you. Don't be the slowest gazelle, be the fastest. That alone will help, and if you are attacked, it prevents the loss in the first place. So I don't know how many ICOs are actually doing this, but I know that there's different companies that deploy sensitive information on their website, whether it be a downloadable APK for a wallet, but they do exactly this. So this is something you can employ today and protect yourself if you are deploying an ICO with a sensitive address on a website.
But there are some services out there that, and some of them are using blockchain, of course, because why wouldn't they? We may as well tokenize everything while we're at it. And there's some services out there that allow you to get access to white hat hackers who can help you with these processes. Have any of you had any experience of those? Are they worthwhile? Is that the wrong approach to the problem?
Well, at least on our company, I believe we already have 3 or 5 DDoS attacks. But fortunately, we are quite prepared with the Simpsons in place. But it's often. I will not say every week, but every month we are attacked. But we managed to define 3 layers of security. One of them is quite interesting because you will only be able to access our funds through a puzzle. Our devs find a way that, and the answer for the puzzle, only those 4 people know. Similar to a multisig, but with some personal data. So at the end of the day, most of the funds are covered. And that's more solutions that you can add on top of that, and that you can put in place to protect the company. But of course, it's money over there. It's too soon yet, and it's going to continue happening. White hackers are there. The money is there. We need to prepare ourselves to combat them.
Okay. Yeah, of course, go ahead.
Okay, I want to mention the way of not the data, but the funds protection that they are using in our wallet, for example, because like the multi-signature technology been mentioned already for the blockchain transaction, but we still have these two-factor authentication services, like widely used in even in common finance application. So this is the way how we mentioned to resolve the problem of security, that like you can mix the 2FA service with multi-signature service. The way when like the client has first signature and the special service which provide the 2FA solution is on the second signature. So you're making your transaction and sign the transaction with the first signature, then you are running through 2FA validation, and if you succeed on this, the special service produced, for example, for our services by our developers, is just making the second signature.
I mean, that's great, but my good friend Travis Wright, who does the VB Engage podcast with me and also does the Bad Crypto podcast with Joel Comm, he had 2FA on his device, and what they did is, because human beings are fallible, is they got in touch with T-Mobile and just answered all the right questions and kind of convinced them to do a complete reset. And then the guy took control of Travis's phone and started looking through it to see if he can find his crypto. Travis managed to turn that around and actually got access to the guy's Instagram account and started blackmailing him to give his phone back, but that's because it's Travis, and that's the kind of thing he would do. But not everyone has those skills. I mean, human beings are fallible. Potentially, blockchain technology isn't. How can we use blockchain? And I'm gonna go to the professor and come back this way. How can we use blockchain since it is immutable? Since we do have the transparent distributed ledger, we've got all of the capabilities to use blockchain to actually enhance cybersecurity and, of course, remove the fallible human element. I mean, what are some of the implications of using blockchain for cybersecurity and to help with cybersecurity?
Yeah. So when we talk about cybersecurity, it's about analyzing what kind of attacks a critical infrastructure can fall short. And a standard attack is, for example, attacking the domain name system. So whenever you enter in your browser some kind of URL like google.com, there's a DNS server involved. And this is nothing else than a centralized database. It's like the yellow pages for the internet. And when a cyber attack happens, people try first of all to see whether they can somehow attack this resolution. And blockchain, which has that wonderful immutability property, is ideal in order to distribute a DNS server. So instead of having one database which is responsible for the lookups, you distribute it over the blockchain. There are like multiple nodes. You can always verify whether the resolution was proper or not. And moreover, the immutability property gives you some kind of, say, authenticity check, because you can only have like one entry in that database.
Would you say that it makes DDoS attacks almost impossible if we had a distributed DNS?
Impossible is, I think, a bit too strict, but it gives a lot fault tolerance to the DNS server. But the devil is in the details. So, there are a lot of factors, how people implement it, so that, make the difference. So I cannot give you, 100% yes, this is the answer.
Arianna?
Yeah, to that point, actually, I think we kind of replace one problem with another one. So while it might be more difficult to do DDoS attacks or whatever, which, by the way, are still not impossible, it's a question that's open with Lightning nodes and other things. The interesting thing is, we're just kind of replacing it with certain other issues. So for example, there's this handy website that just popped up the other day, which basically shows you how much it would cost to do a 51% attack, which is actually mind-blowing because it's so much cheaper than I would have thought. Like, I think Monero, to do a 51% attack for an hour, only costs something like $20,000. Now, please don't go out and do this, but you start to say, okay, well, it's not a DDoS attack, but it's a 51% attack. So you start to have, I think, a lot of problems. To your earlier point about kind of how consumers can think about, phone porting hacks, which are still kind of the most common way in which crypto is stolen, I think part of it is on the consumer. So this happened to me, so I tell everybody, never have your phone as a backup option, or a reset option. So for example, even if you're using Google Authenticator, if you have it set up so that it's linked to your phone number, they can still get in using that. So you basically have to set up Google Authenticator and then go in and remove your phone number. So if you haven't done that, I highly recommend that everybody do it, or use a YubiKey or something else. But another interesting point is that certain companies are actually starting to take action. So I won't say which, because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to, but a major crypto company now has a relationship with all the major phone carriers, and they can verify whether a phone number associated with the account has been ported in the last 24 or 36 hours. And so basically, if that's the case, they lock down the account and don't let any money move out. And this is a very recent thing that they've done because it was becoming such a huge issue for them. So anyways, I think it's, to some degree, the onus is on companies in the space, but if you want to go be more of a purist and say, okay, we own our own keys, we should manage those ourselves, then it's really on you as a user to kind of be informed and make sure that you're taking appropriate precautions.
Yeah, I love the advice on not using your phone as a backup, by the way. I mean, what else can we give all of these wonderful people in the audience in terms of real, tangible advice to help with this kind of situation?
So you shouldn't use SMS 2FA. If you have the option between normal 2FA and SMS, please use 2FA with Google Authenticator or Authy, whatever.
And if you need to, get a burner phone.
Yeah, don't use your phone number for anything.
So we all just need to walk around looking like spies.
Sorry,
That's
I'm super paranoid, but at a certain point you have to be.
You have to be. But you were talking about how the blockchain is immutable and all the cool blockchain technology features. But all these features only come through a proof of work. Now, a lot like what she was talking about earlier about this website that talks about how we can launch a 51% attack, or anyone can do that. That is because a lot of these coins are using like proof of work and do not have the necessary mining power behind them to actually provide these features. So just because you're using SHA-256 and using proof of work as a consensus mechanism, you don't necessarily have the security features. The security features are not just like magically there because you're using it. The security features come through the mining power connected to that coin. So the 51% attack means that someone can with 20,000 euros or whatever for Monero, with 20,000 euros you can mine, and you can mine sufficiently to get 51% attack and attack that coin. So it's very important now for people who want to launch their own coins, which is great, but you need to really consider that the mining is the most important thing. It is what gives the blockchain its security features and its immutability. And a lot of people actually, they say that, because it's ASIC resistance, it's stronger. But no, ASICs actually give the coin a stronger security because there's more hashing power behind it. So this whole notion that ASICs are bad and everything is incorrect. ASICs actually give every single coin much more security because it's stronger. It's stronger, and each device has stronger hashing power, thus giving it the features that everyone looks for. It's very scary to see how quickly how easy it is to attack these coins, and that's why everyone should do a lot of research and everything before venturing into most of these coins and check that out. Always look into the mining aspects of the coins. Proof of stake is still it's a good idea, I guess, in some ways. But the problem with proof of stake is that there's no external factor to get into mining. It's like the blockchain is all you need is coins to verify the coins. So the more coins you have, the stronger you are, the richer. So it's basically the rich get richer on POS. There's no external factor for proof of work system. You need to buy miners. There's an external factor there. Or someone discovers a new mining feature or hardware, and then now they have an advantage. But proof of stake is only, I have 100,000 coins, and I have 100,000 coins. There's no one else can get the 100,000 coins, you know?
Although you could argue that nowadays in mining, like in order to become even vaguely competitive with the big pools, you'd have to start with like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of equipment, which is kind of the same thing.
But you're not, as a miner, you're not competing against a mining pool. Yeah? You are a miner and you join a mining pool. But you're competing against the miners, the other miners. Yes, you need money to get into. Miners cost money, but the difference is between POS and POW, which is proof of stake, proof of work, is that there is an external factor to it. There's no external factor to proof of stake. The more coins you own, that's it. You own all the coins, and there's like.
Yeah, but what is bad about that? Look how
it's the richer get richer.
Yeah, but look about existing economies. Yeah.
Exactly, we're just copying existing economies.
Yeah, but it shows that it works. This is life. This is reality.
The rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
I mean,
yeah, this is the reality.
It's not good.
Yeah,
it's not the reality.
It doesn't matter, but this is how economy works.
It's not the reality of proof of
I
work.
think this is a talk on security, though.
Aspects
of proof of work, proof of stake.
Yeah.
I do want to gently disagree a little bit with what Alejandro said about the ASICs being more secure or less secure, because the price of a coin definitively determines how much hashing power will go into that coin. That hashing power, or not hashing power, but the amount of energy it takes to mine. That energy could be ASIC cost, so cost of buying an ASIC. It could be electricity cost, it could be the cost of buying GPUs, and the cost of operating people and paying salaries to mine that coin. And you will only spend as much as you can be profitable from the value of that coin, or what you suspect the value of that coin will become. It doesn't matter how you spend that money. You will spend it in one way, shape, or form. Like I said, either ASICs, GPUs, electricity, or a combination of which. ASICs make it such that most of your money will go into, or a lot of your money will go into the hardware, less of it will be in electricity. GPUs make it where less of the money go into the hardware because they're so commoditized, and more of it will go into electricity. But either way, it's the amount of money that goes into the coin that determines whether or not it's protected. So if your price of the coin is very low, how many dollars or euros worth you are mining every 10 minutes or every day, that's the security of the network, regardless of what it actually takes. And this is relative to proof of work. Regardless of what you're doing to mine that coin, it's how many dollars are going into that profitability. That's all it really matters. So in order to make your chain more secure, hate to say it, you've got to make the price of the coin go up, one way or another. That's what really adds security to your network.
Sure, yeah, you need to build an incentive for people to mine your
You've got to
coin.
build ecosystem, you've got to build tools, you've got to build payment processors, you've got to give people a reason to have and own your coin, and its increase in value is what's actually going to help increase the network. Now, layering other things on top of that, such as proof of stake, help add different type of incentives that are different from proof of work and might complement it in different ways, but on a pure proof of work platform, it's the price of the coin.
Rodrigo, I see you nodding in some places, shaking your head in others. What have you got to add?
Yeah, I don't know. For that, I have to believe that the price in the price is related with the usability of the coin or of the platform, and that might not happen.
Well, that's just depend. That's all emotion. Like, do I think that this coin is worth $10 or $100? Who knows? That's like trying to determine the price of a stock in the market. But point is, if it's able to hold a certain price, that's going to determine its security level with respect to hashing power, which is one aspect of our talk today, which is the blockchain itself being secure. I think the original question, which I'd love to kind of address, is what can blockchain do for security? Right? How do we, how can we use the blockchain? Ironically, I don't think the blockchain is going to help in many ways to improve our data security. I think what it's going to do, though, and it already has done this, is it's motivated us to build tools that will help us create better data security. Because all of our lives, we've had cryptography tools, and we've been able to use them, but they've been relegated to IT managers, technologists. Public-private key cryptography has been used by almost every IT manager and technologist to log into a server. And that is a very secure way of logging in that doesn't require a password and can't be phished on the server end. But we haven't used it as normal people. Why? Because we've never wanted to deal with private keys. We've had encrypted communications that have been available to us, PGP on email. Why haven't we used it? It's been stupid hard to deal with private keys. So what blockchain technology has done is it's forced us to deal with private keys, and it's also forced companies, like some of those here on stage, to build tools to make private keys much easier to handle. And once we deploy that into the mass audience because we want to hold crypto, because it's way better for us to hold crypto than leaving it on an exchange which someone can hack by resetting our SMS phone number, which we were just talking about. Once we now control private keys, we now have opened us to the world of using cryptography that's been before relegated to just kind of the elite technologist. That's kind of what I'm excited about.
A little ripple then. Yes, please.
Well, I want to add here that despite that we have all this blockchain and like security issues, we still have to do a lot about the application design, because if you take a look of the design of the modern blockchain application, it's still like not enough developed to me. I mean that like at least half of the application which like been represented on the market and like been developed after the ICO or money counting, they still have the like regular authentication procedure. I mean that we still dealing with username and passwords. And like this is the same way like we have this discussion about the centralized exchange and decentralized exchange. But on the first place is that we need the first task that we need to resolve is to push users to use this private key, which just been mentioned. And before we do it, like it's too early to speak about any security, because first we need to push users to use their private keys, and then we have to educate users to like store their private keys securely and to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, excellent point. So we want to make sure, actually, we get any questions from the audience for our wonderful experts up here. We do have somewhere a very soft, hard on one side cube that we can throw at you. Please don't catch it with your face, especially if the hard on one side bit hits you. So anybody who has a question, please raise your hand. We will throw a cube very, very hard at you. Yes, at the back there. Right at the back. Can we throw that? Go on. Perfect.
Nice.
Perfect.
Oh, wow, great.
So speak into the actual cube bit there so we can hear you.
Sure. I work for Rivets, a cybersecurity company in the States.
Bring it closer to your face.
Sorry. I work for Rivets, a cybersecurity company in the States, Alex Tagavi. I think the company that you mentioned is Rivets, partnership with Telefonica, access to more than 400 million devices, where we can kill the SIM, if you like, within the devices, where we generate the private keys inside the trusted execution environment, the secure enclave, and we shard them. We put half of it in the secure enclave and half of it on the SIM. So that goes back to what the lady there mentioned, I believe. My question is, how do you secure the device of the user? Most of you develop applications, software that runs on an operating system on a device. The software does something, users log in, they interact with the software, withdraw, deposit, whatever. Before the data is pushed to the blockchain, how do you attest that the user intended and that their device was secured on a hardware level before that data was pushed to the blockchain? I understand that the blockchain is secure, but my question is specifically about the device of the user. How do you protect that?
Yeah, so I think I can answer it. That's a very, very important question. And here comes the disclaimer, you know, I haven't paid this guy, because this is exactly the challenge we're facing at Weeve, how to attest the data at the device. So how can we really make sure that it's not fake data, like fake news? And here, of course, you need, you know, strong technology, strong cryptography, strong operating system techniques, using trusted enclaves and similar. It's really like a new architecture people need in order to secure the system from the ground up. Because those devices, or those phones, are nothing else than oracles for the blockchain. And everybody talks about right now about blockchain is trustless, secure, but those oracles are actually the sources where the data, where the events happen. And we really need to start from scratch to find technologies how to secure those oracles. And then we can empower the ability that comes from a blockchain.
Anybody want to add? Paul?
This question is intimately tied to what we think about at our company and what I think about myself. So from the viewpoint, your concern and your question is about how do we make sure that the device is secure. And while in theory, yes, devices run software, they can run other software, they can have malware on them, and we're building a lot of solutions to take the keys, put them somewhere else in a trusted execution environment, put them inside of a hardware wallet. If you ask yourself, what is actually the cause of loss of cryptocurrency? Why are people losing it? It's not that the devices are getting hacked, it's that either phone numbers are getting hacked, central exchanges are getting hacked, or people are just screwing it up themselves. So should we build these tools that are incredibly secure from the viewpoint of the digital level to solve a problem that a vast majority of users are not having, because mobile devices especially are becoming more and more secure every day with built-in encryption happening on the device, really good segmented sandboxing between applications, even if you were to install a bad app. Are we trying to secure against that? Or should we actually try to prevent the problem that is happening today, which is being forgiving for the end user for the problem they're having, which is losing the keys? Do we make tools where it is easy, if not invisible, for them to be 2FA, to be automatically backed up, to be automatically encrypted, so that they don't screw up? What's the real problem? And I think we're being knee-jerk reacted into building things that have solutions for somewhat theoretical problems, but making the problem that we are already having worse. So that's one of the things that we think about carefully, is really analyzing what is the problem and try to build solutions for that. I don't have a clear-cut answer to your questions, like how do we make sure the device is secure, except knowing that the devices over time have gotten more secure, the operating systems have better sandboxing, and on device we have better security to actually separate memory and whatnot.
Well, we have to wait for a wallet. We have a super cool feature that we think that it's gonna solve part or almost.
I didn't want to say and promote what we do, but yes, we think we have that as well at Edge. But you know, I think there's many options out there. It's an opportunity for for people to try out the different products on the market and see what fits your use as a human. We got to build tools for humans, not for technologists. So do try out the different tools, the different wallet, the different wallets and the different security options, and ask yourself, do I want to recommend this to the mass market as a solution for people, not just for the early adopters? You're all early adopters here in this room. But if you wanted to say, put your stamp of approval, and here's the thing that I give my family, please give us feedback as people in the space that are trying to build the solutions. We want to hear from you.
Thank you very, very much. That was a great question. I did want to try and squeeze another one in, but unfortunately I can't because we don't have enough time, and you will want to go and have a drink. So what I'd like you to do is exercise your arms and give our wonderful experts a warm round of applause. Thank you. And now it is that time of day. You've got to the end. You can applaud yourselves internally. We don't need to hear it again. You can now go and get yourself, we didn't need to hear it, I just said. You can now go and get yourselves a lovely alcoholic drink, or a non-alcoholic drink if that is your favor. Please drink responsibly tonight. Have a lot of fun. This has been BlockShow Europe 2018, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you.